CJ Nitkowski of Fox Sports. Maybe you can help me, CJ. Can you help me out?
I'm more confused now. Now that you add it all up and you put it all online, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know if we're done or not. Part of me thought we were done, but well, maybe not.
I thought so, but that's why I said at the top, I mean, if the self-policing's so terrible, then just don't flip the bat to begin with. What do you think of that idea?
Well, see, yeah, and I didn't have a problem with that bat flip. You know, again, I always say this too. I didn't have the uniform on. I didn't lose that game, so it doesn't affect me emotionally as much. I think it's easier for me to be objective about it. But it didn't bother me. And that was a huge moment. That was a crazy game. We don't get games that intense in Major League Baseball. That was one of the best we saw. Everything that happened in the top of the seventh, the bottom of the seventh, it was just absolutely insane. That is about as an emotional as a moment that you can have outside of being Joe Carter actually hitting that walk-off in that ballpark. So the bat flip didn't bother me, but it obviously bothered Sam Dyson, the guy who gave it up, because he said something about it after. He said something to Jose Bautista and didn't appreciate it. That's up to those guys. But I think you get a lot of different answers from a lot of different people on whether or not that was an actual offense or not. That moment was pretty huge.
So what do you think? Do you think the Bush pitch yesterday was Bush League, or do you think – what do you think?
I tell you what, I'm always trying to be honest with people. I always lean unintentional. I just have a tendency to do that more than not. And then I look at the situation, and I'm like, the timing didn't make any sense. They're winning by 1 run, right? This is a team that won the division at the very end of the season last year. Every game matters, right? You got Jose Bautista. You're going to put him on base to face Edwin Encarnacion, who kills the Rangers, right? He's absolutely killed them recently, but over the course of his career, they don't want to face him as the potential go-ahead run with a man on first and nobody out. I don't believe it was that way. Now, I could be wrong, and Matt Bush could have done it. He could have taken it upon himself. He could have decided, or somebody told him. This is this kid's second big league game.
Yeah.
I mean, and has not pitched for the lead yet. It's crazy. His whole history and everything that's going on. And now you're going to have him come in and hit Jose Bautista in a 1-run game late. The other thing that might have happened, and I've thrown this out there, is that, remember, they scored the 4 runs the inning before. The Rangers did to take the lead. Matt Bush could have been told that he was in that game when they were actually losing, and someone could have told him, hey, we're going to get Bautista now. We're losing. They're leaving. We're going to get him now. Then they took the lead, and nobody said anything, and you just assumed he was still supposed to hit him.
Oh.
That is a possibility. A little bit of a conspiracy theory, but it's absolutely a possibility. I've been put in that spot before where I've been told, hey, get the first guy out, and we want you to drill the next guy.
So if that
happens, I don't get the first guy out,
right,
so I don't drill the next guy.
So if that happens, CJ, is it weak sauce that they waited this long when they had 6 games prior to mete out whatever justice they thought needed meting out?
I think so. I think if you really want to send that message, if you want to say, hey, we're really ticked off about what happened last year, we don't appreciate it, we think that you should have done it, you have to hit him in his first at-bat. The very next time you see him is when you have to do it. If you let a lot of time pass by, I do think it is kind of Bush League, and I think the message is not maybe as clear. And even drilling him, I don't even know if I'm on board with it because I didn't have a problem with the bat flip, knock him down. I think you send that. The message is almost a little bit more fun when you put a guy on his butt and you don't actually physically hurt him. You put a little bit of a scare into him. But as we've seen before with Jose Bautista, he has hit home runs in that situation. He did it to Darren O'Day because he has had some issues with the Orioles, too.
See, and I know you wrote on FoxSports.com today, this is good for baseball. You think this is good? This is good that we're talking?
I do, man.
Why?
I was just talking to Evan Grant earlier. So the rating on that game was 3-4 until the fight. It jumped to a 6 after. That's a pretty big deal. And people can say, oh, yeah, I don't condone violence and you shouldn't advocate violence. And I don't, but at the same time, let's be honest with each other. We read the rags that are sitting in the grocery store when we check out. We're into gossip. We like seeing things that would never happen in our real life. And as much as I'm a baseball fan and just love to watch baseball, when things like this happen, I'm tuning in. I was actually driving. My phone starts blowing up. People are made gifts and video of what happened as I'm driving back to my hotel. And I can't wait to go dig in and see what happened. And we like watching this stuff. Now, I don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see Jose Bautista break his jaw and miss the rest of the season, and we don't get to control the outcome. But since the outcome wasn't terrible, I think it's good. People are talking about it. You're talking about football. Guys that only do football are tweeting about it. That's a good thing for baseball. We're not talking about PEDs. We're not talking about how the game is boring. We're not talking about how kids don't play it.
Right.
We're talking about, hey, did you see what happened in Texas yesterday? That's what people are talking about.
So maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way, CJ Nitkowski, that if the self-policing just goes so far awry, don't break the unwritten rules of baseball to begin with. Maybe I should be looking at this as saying what? That maybe we should flip it and say throw the unwritten rules out, let the bat flip happen, let the guy slide into second base late and just turn the other cheek and just say, hey, that's baseball? Should we just say that now?
Well, the new rules are you can't slide into second base late. So the way that the new rules are adjusted, that's a legal slide period.
Right.
So that one doesn't necessarily fall under unwritten anymore. But I always say this because I know people get so frustrated. Like, unwritten rules, it's nonsense. Like, just make rules, follow them. What is this? What's going on here? And the reality is, I don't even decide on unwritten rules anymore. The 750 guys that are active every night on the full schedule for Major League Baseball, they decide. They decide what they're willing to tolerate. They decide what they believe is good baseball and what's bad baseball. And we could tell them all day long. And Rob Manfred could come in and say, listen, guys are allowed to bat flip and you're not allowed to be offended anymore. It's not going to work because Madison Bumgarner is going to be offended every single time you bat flip him, whether Rob Manfred tells him it's okay or not. And so it's their emotion. And for me, we're not allowed to tell them how they can feel, what they can be offended by, and what they can't be offended by. It may seem silly to us. Like, who cares? The guy, he flips his bat, make a better pitch, right? We always hear that one. They get him out if you don't want him to flip his bat. Well, I can't tell that guy how to feel. If he wants to be ticked off, if he feels like he's been shown up, even though you and I were looking at it going, he didn't show you up. Doesn't matter. I cannot control how that pitcher feels in that moment. And if he wants to drill that guy the next time up, we can't control that either.
So ask CJ Nitkowski the poll question before you say thank you and goodbye, Chris Brockman.
Which was the bigger violation of the unwritten rules? Was it the bat flip that started it all, hitting Bautista in his last at bat, the hard slide, or the punch?
Probably hitting him late. That's the only thing that I didn't love. Like I said earlier, man, go ahead and send your message right away. If you want to send a message, you have to be very clear about it. I think it probably should have happened at the beginning. But, man, what a punch. Was that crazy? I mean, we don't see that. It's unbelievable.
I said, CJ.
I can't ever go against that one.
People put down 3 figures for pay-per-view fights and don't see a connected punch like that. Think about it.
You don't want to mess with that dude, man. He's got some edge to him, and obviously he knows what he's doing, too. I mean, he did not hesitate. And he had his glove on the whole time, which is also fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, his balance didn't get messed up by having that heavier glove in his left hand. And, man, poor Jose Bautista didn't even get his arm up in time. It looked like he was trying to get it up, but it was just like
we showed
and it was over.
We showed it to the TV audience a similar maneuver that Odor made in 2011 in a minor league game where he was the one who had the late slide and the shortstop was the one who had a problem with him, and he hit the shortstop with the same push and right cross maneuver. So that's an Odor. It's now officially known as the Odor
button,
move.
Man.
Yeah. CJ, thanks for calling.
He's got a button. You don't want to push it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on again. Let's get you in studio, okay?
Anytime, man. Would love to do it.
You bet. That's CJ Nitkowski of Fox Sports.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.